Welcome back to another instructional chess video. In this one we're going to be taking a look at the variant called Racing Kings. As you can imagine, this variant is going to be about who can get their king down to the end of the board faster. So object of the game, get your king to any of these 8 squares, then you will win. There's additionally some other interesting rules. You are not allowed to put your opponent in check. So of course you can't put your own king into a check, but you also can't put your opponent's king into a check. So there won't be any checkmating allowed. You just sort of have to block your opponent, as we'll see as I'll demonstrate. So for example, you could start off the game, for example, just immediately move forward with your king. It's a common way to start the game, just so that your opponent doesn't have an opportunity to block you. If black, say for example, tries to block, then of course you can see I can't move my king forward because black is covering all of these squares. So you would need to either build a bridge, do something like this, or you can capture this piece as long as you're not putting your opponent in check. So for example, if I just played a couple random moves, I'm not saying that this is a good move or not, but just to demonstrate, if I brought the knight around here, of course I can't put the white king in check. I'm just going to make another random move here. Notice that I can't capture this rook because otherwise it would put the black king into a check. So now you guys sort of know the rules to Racing Kings. It's not a very popular chess variant, but it is very interesting. It's somewhat unintuitive, so you'll probably have a rough go of it for your first 1 or 2 games, but as you play maybe 3 or 4 games, then you'll really get the hang of it. So let's do our best to find a match. So we're going to go to play, we're going to create a game here, we're going to do Racing Kings, we'll do 3-0, any variant, and then we'll have to wait. Okay, so we finally found a match. In this case we're going to be playing with the white pieces. I'm going to start with this tricky move. So we're going to be taking a look here. The opponent responds by pushing his king so that he can capture here. Notice I can't capture this way. I'm going to just simply capture. Okay, and then we're just going to start running with our king. So my opponent is threatening to capture here. I'm going to go ahead and just pin this guy. So now he can't move his knight for the time being. You're not allowed to put your own king in check. You're just basically not allowed to do any checks whatsoever, whether it be your own king or your opponent's king. Also developed, so now my queen can sort of get out. Okay. I'm not really exactly sure what that does, so I'm just going to continue to march on with my king. I feel like I have a pretty good lead here. Okay, so my opponent is going to be willing to give up their rook. I think I probably will capture this because gaining a rook is actually quite nice in this variant. The rooks and the queen are actually important pieces. I would like to sort of block off my opponent. Instead, I'm going to just push forward myself. So I do have the jump on him, and I can always block if need be. My opponent still is going to have some trouble using his pieces, so I feel pretty confident about this game. Okay, my opponent's trying to cut me off. It's a pretty reasonable move here. This is a sneaky move because the bishop cannot capture, because that would give a check. So this is also going to gain time for me, and this will also help, so this was probably a mistake from my opponent. Okay, so we still can't capture. I'm kind of cutting off my opponent. I can't move up here. I'm going to continue to harass my opponent's queen. I think that's a good strategy, and then I'll be able to bring the rook back up sort of almost no matter where this queen goes, unless he moves it to a really unhelpful square. So this is just looks really, really, really good for me. So I'm really going to put the brakes on any progress that he can make. I can't move here, but this should still probably be okay. Perhaps queen here is coming, I would suspect. No, interesting, okay. Let's try and cut off. I do want to continue here. Okay, we'll try this one. I'm just trying to cut my opponent's king off. I have to figure out how I'm going to make progress though. Maybe I will move my rook. That's a pretty good move. I didn't think about this move that well. Maybe I'll play this one. Remember that the king is perfectly safe since you're not allowed to give a check or a checkmate. So I feel pretty safe here. I've got all my pieces. I'm now blocking, so it's going to be really difficult for him. Maybe he can try, bring a knight around. Note that I can't capture his queen. In the meantime, I guess I'm just going to capture this piece. I don't really see anything useful that I can do right for the moment. Maybe I've found something, so I should be able to push this guy. This seems reasonable. This is just too overwhelming to have like all of these ranks pretty much locked down here. So my opponent's going to have a really tough time making progress. Now I have too many ways to make progress here. Oops, and I'll make sure that these numbers are a little bit better. I do try to make the coordinates a little bit bigger for you guys, just so that's a little bit easier on the eyes. Okay, and then again, threatening to win. I only have 30 seconds. My opponent has a little bit bigger time trouble issue though, so I'm not too scared. Just gobble up this queen. Okay, and I'm threatening to take his rook. I'm of course not afraid to have him capture my queen. Then again, threatening to win. Okay, so that one went in our favor. A pretty interesting game. My opponent had some pretty clever ways to defend. I actually didn't know how to respond to this opening before. Somebody actually played this against me and beat me using this. So that's the reason why I've actually had to look up what to do against this, because it seemed really difficult, and this was a good try. It turns out that just copying this move is probably necessary. So it's so strong. Threatening to win one of the key pieces. Rooks and queens are just too good at holding your opponent. So a lot of times one of the bishops can get captured and the king will be able to leak out. So let's give it another go. There are some very strong players that play this though. So we're just... Okay, so we're back, and we also have the privilege of playing with the white pieces again. Let's continue this opening, because it seems like a difficult opening for people to respond to. This guy's just gonna march ahead with his king. An interesting approach. Am I going to block, or am I going to immediately take the material? Maybe I'll just block first, since I do have him in this pin. Now we're going to capture this guy. Getting some of these pieces off, I think, is just pretty nice. It's nice to have that. We're going to be greedy and just try to take some of these guys. No, I think we'll just continue moving. Just need to move, continue with our king, stay ahead of my opponent. Really interesting move. I'm not sure exactly what that does. I'm again going to sort of harass my opponent. And then we may try to block him again. Yeah, let's do that. Let's try to block him again. So hopefully this will be annoying. Okay, if I push and then he captures my rook, then I might be able to alpha strike him. So let's just try it. We're gonna try to just get there. Now he can capture this piece, so we just need one more file. So we're gonna try to cut off and then win. Okay, so now I can't move this other guy. I'm gonna try this one, I suppose, because I don't actually want to move my rook and give him an easy way to continue forward and make progress. So this move looks pretty strong. I don't see how my opponent's going to answer. I have two different ways to win. Looks really difficult. I don't think he can do it. Okay, so we were fortunate enough to be able to make it to the end. So yeah, again, a really difficult opening to play against, and I'm not going to try to take credit for this opening. There was someone else again that had played this really strong opening against me, so most people are expecting the immediate king push. So if you guys did find this helpful in some way, whether you learned to play Racing Kings or you are a Racing Kings player and now have found some other interesting strategies on how to beat your opponents for future games, then please drop a like and also consider subscribing if you aren't already. I will catch you guys in the next one. So long for now.